Most respected Dr. Bindeshwar Pathak, founder of Sulabh International, dignitaries on the dais, delegates from all over for this conference, 3-day conference on sanitation as an actionable concept of academic training. It's a proud privilege for me to have been invited to share some of my thoughts. This is a momentous occasion because I think that sanitation as an idea is one of the moonshot ideas which India should pursue, because it is very critical. It is very critical to apply all the modern technology and sciences for better sanitation. Otherwise, the basic concept of good living gets defeated if we don't have good sanitation. And I feel proud to extend my heartfelt compliments to Dr. Pathak, who not only propounded the basic concept of action sociology, but also propounded this idea of having sanitation as an academic discipline in most of our universities. And I'm told 14 universities, 25 universities have already started this program, graduate program in sanitation.
Both graduate and PG.
Okay. I thought graduate was from the American point of view, graduate is postgraduate. So I'm glad that this has happened. And I just mentioned to Dr. Pathak that it would be a great idea if Delhi University starts this program as a discipline. And I have promised him that I will try to connect the Vice Chancellor of Delhi University, who is a dear friend of mine, to him ASAP, so that this very idea of having sanitation as a discipline in Delhi University materializes and the students take advantage of this discipline, because this discipline has a lot of practical application and they can be eligible for many different kind of jobs and employment after their finishing their program in sanitation. I have not come here with a prepared speech, but I wanted to share some of my thoughts. And those thoughts revolve around the concept of education, the concept of innovation, and the concept of sanitation. I'll start with the concept of education. Education in India lacks the capacity to make our students creative and innovative. It is based on rote learning. The basic concept of education is to get a certificate, to get a degree, to build your resume, and finally to be eligible for a job. That should not be the basic purpose of education. Education should make us thinking human beings. Education should make us critical thinkers. Education should make us innovative thinkers, and that is not what our present education system makes us. Recently, Narayan Murthy of Infosys made a statement. He said our education system in India is based on rote learning and the tyranny of coaching institutes. We do not produce students with Socratic thinking. He used the words Socratic thinking. What is Socratic thinking? To think like Socrates, the great Greek thinker. And what was Socratic thinking? Socratic thinking means that you have to criticize the existing reality. Don't accept anything as given. You criticize everything. Unless you criticize, unless you become irreverent, unless you are iconoclastic, education serves no purpose to you. Therefore, the first thing is to reorient and reimagine the entire education system in India. And that is what is most important if we want to become an innovative nation. The second concept is of innovation, Dr. Pathak. Innovation is very important for any country to grow. We are thinking of becoming a 5 trillion economy, but actually we should aim at becoming a 10 trillion economy. And to become a 10 trillion economy, you have to base the entire economic system on innovation. Recently, a captain of industry lamented that India still depends on factor of production. What is the meaning? Factor of productions are the basic 4 factors of production which any country depends on. What he meant was that the X factor of innovation is missing in India. R&D is missing in India. And China is much ahead of us in R&D. China is much ahead of us in innovation. So one of the critical features of bringing about innovation in India would be to celebrate failure. This statement, many of you would perhaps not like prima facie. What am I saying? Celebrating failure. How would you celebrate failure? But think a moment. Failure means that any attempt which ends in failure has embedded values of success in it. So unless you celebrate failure, or at least be tolerant towards failure and not stigmatize failure, your country will not develop on the path of innovation. R&D only happens if you are tolerant towards failure. Our country is very intolerant towards failure. We have to be more tolerant towards failure if we want to become an innovative nation. The second aspect of innovation is moving up the value chain. So the value chain, you have to climb the ladder of value chain. How do you do that? If you look at this concept of sanitation, the basic concept of sanitation is looking after municipal solid waste, looking after contaminated water, and then you move up the ladder of the value chain. And when you move on top of the value chain, it will create a lot of demand. There will be a lot of startups who would like to get into the area of sanitation, and followed by a large number of venture capitals who will think that sanitation, hey, here is a concept which has value, business value. So let's grab this opportunity. So that is the basic idea of sanitation. And I would also recommend that sanitation should be studied as a public policy subject. What is a public policy? Public policy, when we study public policy, we study the macroeconomics, we study the statistical aspect, we study the regulatory aspect. So if we study all these aspects in public policy, then only we do justice to the study of sanitation. So therefore, while sanitation should be studied as a value item, it should also be studied as a public policy subject. Once it is studied as a public policy subject, the value of sanitation as an academic discipline will grow exponentially. And I can assure you, in the coming 5 to 10 years, sanitation as an academic discipline will acquire one of the most paramount positions among all the academic disciplines that we have in the universities today. I have been secretary in the Department of tribal affairs in Government of India, and my heart is very close to the problems of tribals. In the recent budget, we have taken some new schemes on particularly vulnerable tribal groups, PVTGs, and we have also started some new schemes on tribal education. I would like to compliment the Government of India for starting these schemes, because tribals are one of the most deprived sections of our society, and they need particular healing touch when it comes to education, health, nutrition, poverty alleviation, and particularly in the field of the vulnerable tribes. Another area which I think is very important for India is manual scavenging. Even after so many years of independence, we still see manual scavengers. It's a slur on us. It's a scourge on the society that we still have people going inside those, gas-filled tunnels and trying to clean it. There has to be technological intervention so that manual scavenging is stopped forthwith, and those people who have been manual scavengers are accorded the dignity that they deserve. And I think Sulabh has done a seminal job, seminal initiative in this act, and I would like to compliment Dr. Pathak for the role Sulabh is playing in according dignity to the lowest of the low population of our country. And they have been trained, skilled to become good citizens, good and productive citizens of this country. So with these words, I would like to congratulate all of you for this 3-day function. And I sincerely hope that a lot of good and new ideas emerge from this 3-day conclave. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.